is it possible to grow a lot of trees in a small space? And I knew I wanted to do a food forest. And then I was told, you don't have the space for a food forest.
And
Close
how
to
many trees are in this space?
oh man, bear's lime, apricot, pomegranate, that's 4, mandarin, Meyer lemon, 3, oh wait, pear, and then 3 apples, and then like a bunch of shrubs. Huh. Apparently can be done.
It can be done.
Hi, Boo.
While our travels have brought us back to California, we've still been on the road visiting friends and family, preparing to move back into our home. I haven't given up hope about finding our farm, but we all felt drawn back to our community here for several reasons. We've loved being close to family to celebrate the holidays together, and Justin has had the opportunity to join a team to do an epic 5-day adventure race expedition in the Ozarks. Going away and coming back makes us appreciate the beauty surrounding us so much more, and we couldn't be more grateful for the friendships we have fostered here. As we start to find our bearings once more, I reached out to Allie, also known as the Curious Nook, to see her incredible urban micro-food forest on our 5,100 square foot lot. Little did I know how inspired I'd be for ideas on our own urban homestead. Check out what she has done.
Allie! Hey! I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah.
Look at this!
Nice to see you.
This is awesome. Hi, Napoleon! Oh my goodness! Hi, buddy.
I'm really proud of how everything has turned out.
Well, show me around. I want to see what's going on here.
Right. From nothing to like how it is now, it's almost like hard to believe that it was the same space. So much has transformed. We moved here in 2015. We started putting in some trees just into the space, not really like taking care of the soil overall. And then that's when we started noticing a problem because the soil was just dead. We did a soil test. It wasn't surprising. It's like we're lacking organic matter.
Yeah.
Like kind of figure that.
Yeah.
So we just added tons of compost to everything. We mulched everything. And then it was about like in 2019, things started like coming more to life. And I knew I wanted to do a food forest. And then I was told, you don't have the space for a food forest. Those don't really work. Then I found a permaculture landscaper. And it's like, you don't have the space for it. And that was honestly gutting to hear someone that like taught permaculture, had a business as like a permaculture thing, saying that. It's like, well, it can work though. So then that's like when I started reading like everything I could about soil health and like regenerative practices, and just like kept like accumulating massive amounts of books and like online articles from like extensions all over the country, trying to like figure out is it possible to grow a lot of trees in a small space? And then I came across an article from David Wilson Nursery, I think it was, of like 4 trees in a hole, I think it was called. And it was like trees that were planted, 4 of them, like 18 inches apart, that you just needed a lot of heavy pruning. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that, because that's like, you can get root bound in all sorts of situations. But I can do something similar in the space that I have. So yeah, I just started like mapping things out and then just like sketching it in a notebook. Okay, I can have these trees in this space for like the beginning, because we had Bermuda grass everywhere, which is like, don't plant this stuff because it's obnoxious.
Right.
We had to essentially like cut all of that stuff off and just like pull up the sod, and then we just saw that the soil was just trash underneath it. So then they had to add like several inches of compost, tilled that up. And even then, like we still had to like work years putting compost on top of like the stuff yearly.
Wow.
And now, like if you look at the apple tree area, you see an abundance of worms in life, and you can see things are thriving. But for
how good does that make you feel?
It's amazing. Like the first time I found, like I was digging a hole for the Arkansas black tree, and I found like this monstrous worm. I literally screamed, Jeff, come check out this worm. People that were like in the cars in the street were like, what is this crazy person, probably. But like it just made me so excited to know that the garden had no living organisms, essentially, to then having like a bunch of worms and like life kind of coming up. And,
oh my gosh, that fills me with so much joy for you. Like
it was just like really amazing. I really hope, this sounds a bit like bitter and testy, there's a part of me that hopes that like the people that told me no, that like this couldn't be done, drive by the house and are like, huh, apparently can be done.
It can be done.
Like,
that's why I love sharing videos like this. It's just to show like what people are doing. That is just so inspiring. You are so inspiring. This is amazing.
Yeah.
You are too. You are too. I know.
We were sitting here having like some mandarins, and I just asked my son, what should we do with this space? And he's like, a dinosaur garden. And I was just like, huh? But then I just started thinking about, you know, your prehistoric plants or like really big ferns. And so then I started looking for things, and artichokes came up. I have an ostrich fern over there that's still really tiny, and then a perennial kale that I'm really excited for. And that gets to be like 6 to 8 feet tall, which is insane. But I'm really excited for it because it's supposed to be super tasty. And then we just put in like a sand pit, and we put in like dinosaur pieces, like other things in there for him to dig around and play with. And someone gave me these redwood roots. So then we just like put those in to be like little benches and like balancing beams.
I love all the little touches here. It's so well thought out.
I wanted to make it be all or most of the items in here be edible. So we already had the plum and cherry trees here, but then I put in some strawberries at the base of the plum, and the cherry has that as well, to make it be an edible space that we could like really benefit from overall, but also like a nice play space. He's been really happy with it, and then created like little nooks for wildlife too to hide in, because we get a lot of newts. Little ones have found a California racer in the garden too, which I'm hoping it comes back, even though now I have a bunch of mulch around. But I'm trying to create more like reptile and amphibian habitats, even though snakes creep me out. Like when I saw the racer, I just bolted. But I'm trying to like be better with it, because they are so wonderful to have in the garden. But I like put rocks to make like little nooks for them and everything. So this used to be all solid wood slats when we first put it in, because we just wanted privacy since we're in such a busy intersection. But then we just like couldn't live with it, because one, it was a bit of a like a sore point, just like it didn't look great. But we also wanted to like add more things for like food wise. So then we put all hog wire paneling in. And on one side we have a passion fruit vine that thankfully held up with all of the frost that we've been having. We lost a lot of the fruit with how cold we got over here. But then on this side we put elderberries. You can see all of the buds in here. I'm so excited for the amount of elallis. Because they're part of the rose family, I've been doing what you tend to do with like climbing roses, which is you put them at a 45 or you like weave them. So I took all of the canes last year and I've been like weaving them through. So there's like multiple like 45-degree angles so then it can get like the most amount of fruit possible. And like I had to like cut some out because it was starting to like, they were going wild. But now that they're coming in with all like the fruiting sections, I'm so happy I did that because it's really dense on both sides.
And it's like when you cut here, because this is last year's growth, right?
Yep.
On this one. So this new year, this is the new growth that's going
Yeah.
to all have the berries, right?
Yep.
Wow.
Lovingly calling my Goth Garden because everything I plant in this space is dark red, dark purples, or like nearly black. So then even the vegetables I've been like playing around with finding like your black tomatoes. This is a black elderberry. It's like the black lace leaf.
So pretty.
It's more ornamental, but you can still use the flowers for medicinal purposes. So I have like red onions in here and then like your purple peas. I have a lot of daffodils because this area used to get like decimated by gophers. So then once the daffodils go, I generally will plant lettuce and other herbs kind of on top of them.
Pomegranates.
Yep.
Look at that.
So my hope with the two is I want to get them to do a big arch, just like want to have that kind of like look. So that's why they're there, because this one is like your regular pomegranate. I think it's like Parfianca. I really don't know the exact pronunciation of that one. But it's incredibly sweet and really delicious. And this one is the, I think it's called Eversweet. It's the clear pomegranate.
Yeah.
And it's like, it hasn't fruited yet, but it's fairly tasty. Yeah, this one last year flowered a lot, and it was just like hummingbirds were constantly going at this one.
I mean, look at this space. Can you, like, what's the dimension of this space right here?
So it actually tapers towards your end. So it's about 16 feet or 16, 17 feet across that way, tapers to 13 feet towards where you're standing. I think it's like 56 feet long. It's like,
and how many trees are in this space?
Oh man, bear's lime, apricot, pomegranates, that's 4, mandarin, Meyer lemon, 3, oh wait, pear, and then 3 apples, and then like a bunch of shrubs.
It's amazing.
It's like
I mean,
a lot
this is
of
so
stuff.
amazing.
So the big challenge with all of them is that you do have to be on top of pruning constantly.
Yeah.
Because it can overcrowd things, and then you also had to make sure to like measure out the space for all of them and select like rootstock varieties and make sure that like the tree itself wasn't going to be the kind that like overtakes the rootstock and does its own thing anyway. Because like especially cherry trees are notorious for that, which is why we don't have cherry trees in the space.
Yeah.
Because I knew that like it was going to be too much of a risk. And then even if like the apricot, we're going to be like training it almost like sideways, even though I didn't do a great job pruning it, but like
it almost looks espalier style down here. So
yeah,
it
was just the top. I kind of let it go a bit crazy and didn't do much to it. But
how does this work?
Yeah, so you drill the logs in. I did this from an old pear tree that we had here when we were redoing the backyard. So I wanted to save it and repurpose it. And I pretty much just drilled it around, and I bought ready inoculated plugs and then put them in and then you put the wax over the top. Over time, the wax falls off. Once the mushrooms are ready, they'll start growing.
Ah, that's so exciting. Please document away this. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really hoping, like, these were oyster mushrooms, and I think this was my test log for lion's mane. But we'll see.
And what is this guy?
That is a native currant. It's a golden currant is the like
golden
regular.
currant is native.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. I actually got this one because monarchs really love it and butterflies in general. But because we're about a mile away from a monarch way station in like overwintering area, so I figured it would be a really excellent stopping point. This year it's blooming a little bit later than generally because the butterflies have already left, but we have other natives that they usually stop by. So I always try to make sure to have something available that's blooming in the February, March time, because the monarchs are usually my indicator for like spring is coming. And this year is so late, but at least they had the plum tree and like the ceanothus on the park strip garden. So I felt a little okay by that.
And because and because you're less than 5 miles, no milkweed here, right? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I had someone, like, we first had the place, and every time I see it pop up, I'm like, no, I can't have you.
I know. And that's just still, I mean, hard because there was such a huge promotion for milkweed. So it's like having to correct that we don't need it that close.
Yeah, so I've just been adding a lot of like nectar flowers for them, and especially winter blooming varieties of like native plants especially. I've been trying to accumulate more over the years and just have it available for them. And then also, like, it's amazing to see all of the different native butterflies that you can get too. Yeah, so we like being able to see that. And then we have the big elderberry that's coming in.
Is this blue?
Yep, that's the blue elderberry. I have 4 elderberries, including the blue native.
Wow.
And I didn't hard prune this guy too much. So we'll see how big it gets, because last year I think it was like probably like 15 feet tall. And it's honestly amazing how much sound it blocks. This whole property was just a mess when we bought it, and we had 2 giant palm trees over there. And some people were pissed when we cut them down, because we're getting rid of trees, right? But like they didn't know what we were going to be doing.
Yeah, you're like, just wait, you wait.
We really had to do a big overall like haul and everything, and just add like tons of compost into the area. And like I think I probably had like several inches of mulch in this area. Because like it was all palm tree roots just everywhere. So I'm trying to make this into just like a big edible area. We had a lot of gopher damage recently. I actually lost my apple tree.
To a gopher?
Yes.
No!
I did.
How old was it?
It was about a 3-year-old apple tree.
You're kidding
me.
me.
It had been in the ground for 3 years. It seriously gutted me, because last year was the first like big producing year that I had.
Yeah.
And I had picked off all of the flowering buds the previous years, because like I wanted it to really establish a good solid root system and everything. Last year I let it fruit, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. It's doing really great. And then we had also put in the artichokes last year. And I didn't know they were gopher candy when I put them in.
Mine are just constantly eaten, but they come back.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It was like going above ground and taking the artichoke leaves and taking it down into the tunnels. It sunk the apple tree down. So it got pretty much all of the rootstock for this tree. So now for this one, in case I get another gopher, I put like 6 inches of the wire up. And this is a Liberty apple, which I'm really excited for. Because it's supposed to be like one of the most like disease resistant apples, and also like great for raw eating, great for like preserving. And Jeff, my husband, like loves making like jams and things like that. So he's like really looking forward to like baking with them and making apple butter.
Awesome.
So we actually ended up buying 2 of them.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have another one in the other side of the courtyard. So now we have 4 apple trees. The biggest reason that I started gardening was just the mental health aspect of it all. I had lost my grandpa and it was just in a really dark place. And the thing with him was always nature. So I started with an orange tree and then, you know, got some herbs and like roses. And then even when I was in a tiny apartment in San Jose, we had like a 2x8 balcony. I had like 2 trees there, which was the orange tree and the Meyer lemon that I have in the ground now. It was just great. And then here it's, especially when I went through a rough pregnancy and then the postpartum stuff, being able to like come out with like my newborn in water, and it was just like such a balm to the soul to have that. And like I've had people tell me like, oh, you grow too many flowers for a permaculture space, or like this is not permaculture, whatever. And I garden mostly for my mental health. The food is like a bonus. And that's how I've always seen it. I try to do the best regenerative practices that I can, especially if like the food forest, I've gotten like some grief off of that from people. But honestly, like food forests have been around for centuries. It wasn't an Australian guy that like came up with the concept and like put that out there. And then like, I have issues with that. He took information that the Aboriginals in Australia had been like doing, and like native people have been doing it for centuries. The Mayans were like big into all of the farming practices and hydroponics, amazing with what they could do. But like that stuff is not new. There's food forests, there's like 2,000 years old. There's families in like Asia that have food forests. They're 400 years old, and it's amazing. And it's not a concept that was invented by an Australian guy that then tried to trademark and signature mark and copyright the word, you know? So it can be what you want it to be. The main part is living with nature, living, like being respectful of how you treat the soil, how you treat the environment and the animals in it. If you build an ecosystem, it will balance itself out. I'm always a bit weary with some of the terminology that I use. And I tend to use permaculture because that's what people understand the most, even though like it makes me feel icky every time I use it.
I am so grateful you said that, because I've really struggled with that word. You know, I believe in the practices from a bigger perspective historically, but it's not from one person's view. It's from thousands of generations prior to that. Allie, thank you so much for showing me around your space.
I'm so glad that you could see it all.
I'm so inspired. I have so many ideas now for our garden, so keep documenting. I can't wait to see the journey continue. All right, you guys, I'll see you later. Bye, Napoleon.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Coming up next, what once was a dream is growing into a reality. Stay tuned as we share big news on the horizon.